All right, welcome back everybody to Fair Facts, where we provide you on the latest about FCPS and then have an interesting discussion. Today I'm excited and looking forward to introducing our guest. As always, I'm Abrar Omesh, one of your at-large members on the Fairfax County School Board, and I am joined by my co-host,
Nathan Onibudo, the student representative on the school board.
Just a couple of reminders for our community. Early voting has started and will continue until October 11th. So if you haven't had the chance yet, I encourage you. I know I've set a date on my calendar and my whole family plans to go. Give us a little bit about yourself, what brought you to this work, and what you do on a daily basis. What is the nature of the work you do?
My name is Maya Castillo. I'm the political director for New Virginia Majority. We're a statewide issue advocacy organization. We do a ton of work with voters and elections and really making sure that people have all of the information that they need to be able to cast their vote. The communities that we focus in, many times communities of color, don't really hear from other people. And so it's really my job on a day-to-day basis to make sure that that all voters, right, not just particular sets of voters, have access to information. Really basic stuff like what do you need to take to the polling place, but also too can have some conversations about the issues that really matter in their communities. What would they like to see change? What would make their community in Virginia more livable?
I'm Kate Hanley, rather harassed today because we've got lots of people voting and that's really exciting. I'm the secretary of the electoral board. My history is in 20 years in public office. I was on the Fairfax County School Board. I was the Providence District Supervisor. I was chairman of the Board of Supervisors, and I was Secretary of the Commonwealth. And so I thought in my retirement as a little old lady, I would do something easy. So that's what I'm doing now, trying to get us all registered and voting in this election. And it's a lot, but that's exciting.
Are the options to be able to vote?
It's Fairfax County. I can only speak for Fairfax County and mostly Virginia, but there are 3 ways to vote in Fairfax County this year. And the first one is the tried and true, go to your precinct on election day. We are going to have all 243 precincts open. We did a run through on that on the primary. It went fine. We've had an outpouring of people that want to be election officers. And so we are really excited about that option. We'll have all the PPE. So that's one. So you can go to your poll on election day. The second one is to vote by mail only. And that, let's not confuse anybody. We are not automatically sending out a ballot. That's been much maligned. We aren't doing it. We are not sending out an application, but you can apply online at vote.virginia.gov. And for all of you, I hope you do apply online. It's much quicker. It's much less paper. If you do that, you have to ask us for a ballot. We send one to you. You send one back. Or you can drop it off at what we're going to have as drop-off boxes. And I'll come back to that. The third way, and the way that we hope a lot of people vote if they want to vote absentee or early, but on a machine, we have 14 satellites, not counting the operation that you see the lines on TV about, which is here in the government center, which counts as the registrar's office. You can go starting on October 14th, any place in Fairfax. It's not a precinct. It seems like a precinct, but if you live in Mount Vernon, you can really go to the Mason District Government Center. There are 14 of those. Right now, during the week, they will be open 1 to 7. We may extend the hours if they're busy, but we're waiting to see which way.
For early voting, if you've already been registered for that 5-day waiting period you said that you want to be in the system, you can just come in. You can just
come on in.
Perfect.
The other thing I would encourage you, there's been a lot of criticism about mail-in voting and early voting and all kinds of things. Do not bother to go out and get some kind of copier or mimeograph and run off ballots and put them in envelopes and send them back. We won't count those. First, they won't run in the machine. They're not ours. People seem to think that there's going to be a lot of extra ballots flooding. We know who we mailed them to. And they come back in an envelope with labels on them. You have to mail them back in the envelope we mail them to you in.
It's so interesting because there's a lot of that, I guess you could call it misinformation out there circulating about how impossible it's going to be to do any of this. So it's so inspiring to hear you sit there and talk about it so clearly and so concisely about what the county, specifically Fairfax County, is doing to make sure that we know what's going on. And it sounds like it's gotten completely under control.
I did want to ask Maya a little bit about voter protection and how, voter rights are protected and making sure that folks don't feel intimidated and that they're confident in coming in.
There is a voter protection hotline. It's 866-OUR-VOTE. So it's 866-687-8683. And voters can call that if they have questions, if they're unclear about some of the changes that Virginia's experienced. I know that some voters may be concerned about not having photo ID. And right, we just talked about you don't need photo ID. There's a whole list of identification that's acceptable when people go vote. I think voters are really nervous about their vote counting and may encounter any number of different kinds of issues or have questions as they're going to vote.
What work is being done to ensure voter access and what can be shared with the community about ensuring their voice is there and the importance of making sure that they make it heard?
This is something that I think about every day, right? And we were talking about what does my day-to-day look like? And part of that is access, and part of that is making sure that people are informed. So it becomes really, really important to work within language media outlets to make sure that there's paper information that's available, that people don't have to go out, go far from home, especially now, to get that information.
Yes, we count the absentees. Yes, we count the provisionals that are qualified. We count every vote that we can. That is legitimate. We don't count anyone's second vote. If you think they do that, we don't do that. But we count every vote. We don't quit. And so I do want you to reinforce that.
How can people find out where to vote?
Watch their mail. One of the things you're just a little bit ahead of, and it's this color. I don't think I have one here with me right this minute, is we send out to every registered voter something that'll be about a little bigger than this. It'll be about this size, folded 3 ways. It's a sample ballot. And it's addressed, every registered voter gets one. So if you have more than one registered voter in your house, you're going to get more than one. That has a sample ballot inside that tells you where the satellites are and that tells you where your voting location is.
What about this election, should be motivating us, and what's at stake?
The last few years have been incredibly difficult and painful for so many immigrant families. And this year is a tipping point, I feel, for our country, because the hateful rhetoric and the language and the experiences that are being shared by our families we can't continue on this path.
We like to end with a word of hope. So if you want to close us out with that, that would be great.
The word of hope is the wonderfully large crowds we've seen even in the first 3 days of voting. It is, it's kind of a struggle sometimes for them, but it's going so well. People are being so respectful of each other's safety. And it is really rewarding to see how many people are coming out to vote early.
If you want to find any more information, Kate, you mentioned a website earlier.
FairFaxCounty.gov / elections, or you can go to vote.virginia.gov.
Excellent.
All kinds of information.
Thank you. And Maya, I know you mentioned the hotline that we'll be sure to put into the description in case anyone needs support as they go to vote. With that, thank you guys so much. We appreciate your insights. And for our audience, tune in every Monday, 7 p.m. for a discussion and updates on our school system. Of course, you're always welcome to ask whatever questions are on your mind. Until next time, thanks for joining.